Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the #1 podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Steve Larziliere. Today's guests are Isaac and Asher from Hardwood Creations. How you guys doing?
Hey, thanks for having us. Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Good. Cool. Hey, why don't you tell everybody about Hardwood Creations? What do you guys do?
Yeah, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so we're a custom cabinet manufacturer here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we do high-end residential cabinets and millwork. Our dad started the business about 22 years ago, just a one-man shop in the shed of our backyard of our double wide. And, you know, he took us out of school to help him and stuff. And now we've got 35 employees, and me and Isaac are brothers. And we've taken over the business running the operations. So it's a multi-generational company, and we're, you know, really, really happy to serve the market and provide jobs. And yeah, it's exciting. So we've got a lot going on, and excited to talk to you guys about it.
That's so cool. So cool. So what, so 22 years ago, and when you said took you out of school, like, what does that mean?
We were employees, so we were free. So we were the young child labor slaves.
You're the reason why they created laws. So
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Cool. But what age did you start in the business?
I'm the older. I was 9 and Isaac was 7, I think, around when our dad started the company.
Yeah, I feel like so we would kind of help doing pretty much anything. You know, being a small shop, his projects would spike and then go to nothing. So we did marketing campaigns. So we drove around in a minivan, and they would say, go put these little cards in people's mailboxes. And so as a family, we did that. Then, you know, when it came to finishing, you know, we'd carry boards, set them down. He would spray it, we'd pick it back up, put it on the rack. So, I mean, you know, come and go what types of work you did, but you kind of ended up learning it all just by, I think even as kids, we probably didn't even provide, like, certain installs. I remember providing negative value. So you'd be there with the client.
You couldn't lift up anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So the client is offering us, you know, Coke and soda, and we're like, this is great. And we're watching Dad work, and then we're like, oh, what about that mistake? And the client's like, oh, good catch, great job. And
Yeah, Dad would reprimand us later on, you know, hey, don't point out the flaws in front of the customer. So
keep it chill. Yeah, keep it chill. Exactly. Yeah. So what are your bread and butter projects? Like, what do you crank out all day? What are you most known for?
Sure. Probably our target projects would be maybe a $2.5 to $6 million home, residential, right in the Charlotte area. We don't try to travel too much. Honestly, there's so much work here, so much great, you know, stuff within that niche that there's no need to go out and go far. But we really try and dial in on the custom stuff. So stuff I personally love and get a lot of joy from, you know, you meet with a client, and a lot of these people, maybe it's not their dream home, but sometimes it kind of gets into that point where they've had a lot of thought and they're trying to maybe encompass some of their joys or things they find fun. So some people are just trying to put quirks in there. Like a project that I just absolutely love is there was a couple, and they ripped down a house, and right before ripping down a house, this house on this property, they ripped off this door knocker, this little fox head with made of brass. He ripped it off, they crushed the whole house, and now we're designing his new thing. And he's like, I want to put these 2 bookcases, and I just want this, you know, door knocker to open up, have a little skeleton key, and unveil a hidden bar inside. And that video is on our Instagram. But it was so fun kind of crafting up this idea, because it's kind of stuff they have. You can even see the childhood element come out of people, where they're like trying to make these places that they've almost fantasized about for a while, and you get to try to work with them to get it to come to life. So that's probably more it kind of the heart and feel we're trying to capture. We might not be trying to work so much on the production side, but due to the price range, typically we have to still operate at scale because the homes can be large. I mean, some projects will be over 10, $12 million. So you can't just be a one-man shop that produces this little cool thing. You have to produce the little cool thing, but at scale so that you can fit into a lot of homes. So that's hopefully that kind of answers that.
That's amazing. And how is the team broken up in terms of, being able to accomplish that? Like, walk us through the process in which, someone becomes a client and delivered final product.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So we work with about 6 of the big high-end custom home builders in Charlotte, and we have a pretty good reputation with them and the designers that they work with and architects. And so we don't really aggressively go out and sell because we get our repeat business from those builders and designers. And so they kind of know, hey, Hardwood Creations is our go-to cabinet company, and they'll talk to us with the homeowner well before they've even broken ground. So we're kind of getting way ahead of the process, and we're able to actually bring the clients in for a first meeting, well before ground break, so that we're kind of lining up all of what they want in their dream home way before, and we get all the walls in the right spot, and we're not firefighting later. Planning is super important to us. So we have a lot of people on the front end of our team, 3 designers, and Isaac oversees the front end, just getting all of the designing and planning done well in advance. Then an engineering team of 4 people that goes into the shop. And the goal is by the time it's in the shop, we produce in 11 or 12 days, and it's, hopefully flawless, execution because the planning was there. And so that's really what we put our energy and effort into.
Yeah, and we probably have about 6 to 7 months typically of solid design and engineering process where we have to engage on site, lots of measurements, coordination with the builder, other trades. So that's all prior. And that's a lot of times, I think, something that most people skip. They kind of try to tighten that phase as much as they can, and it becomes a firefight. But so we're trying to almost expand that front end phase to make sure that we can try to keep things moving like clockwork. So that's where a lot of our energy and our focus goes, is planning front end.
And your core customer probably is that home builder. So they're going in there with you in mind as opposed to you being an afterthought.
Right. That's exactly right.
That's right.
Which is oftentimes with a lot of new developments that they forget to think about you.
Yeah, dude, totally. Like good examples of that is like walls aren't deep enough to retain, let's say, appliances or kind of flush integrate things, or fridges don't open. And so, all that kind of stuff. It's so nice before framing is started, before ground break, by working and auditing that floor plan and saying, hey, let's really make sure this thing actually works. And then, coming in with experience, moving things around and then working with the builders on that. A lot of times you can end up getting it so much more efficient without having to reframe walls or get in the house afterwards and be like, oh, it's all wrong. So absolutely, it's helpful.
How do you maintain a sense of culture and identity with that many employees?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's actually something that me and Isaac are really focusing on almost more than the sales side, because sales is not a problem for us. So employee retention culture to both of us is almost more of our focus, because we understand if you can't get good people and keep good people, doesn't matter what you can sell if you can't produce it well, right? So some things we do is we play ping pong, we go out and go whitewater rafting together. We have drinks on Friday, happy hour and stuff like that. And when we hire a new person, we try really hard to integrate them into our culture and make sure they feel welcome. And address the needs of the employee, because it's not just what I need as an employer. It's also, is the employee getting something out of this relationship? I mean, he's going to spend 40 hours, 45 hours a week with me, sometimes almost more time than his wife and kids. And I want to make sure, it's a good place. You look forward to coming in. You don't, have to worry about conflict with other employees. And I don't know. So it's something that we're trying to focus on really hard. And our employee turnover has gone way down. It's lower than a lot of other competitors in our industry and other industries. I mean, some of our best people have been here 5-10 years. And some of our best leaders also have been promoted from coming in knowing nothing. And those are our best people now. And we've just had more success with that. So I don't know. It's something as the guy that runs more of the operations side, I think about all the time, because I know that to create something bigger than me, it's not just our family business. It's like, it's a bigger family, and we want other people to have buy-in and actually be part of this company. So that we can, have a real business and not just a stressful job that we have to solve a bunch of problems every day.
For sure.
So I think it starts with your people, like your people and your culture.
How have you leveraged technology to make you guys more efficient? Are you using any? I'm sure at 35, you're not really operating on sticky notes and whiteboards, right? Like, yeah, maybe you are. So I don't assume.
I'm obsessed with AI. So every day he tries to figure out how AI can I don't know. You can answer this question better than me. He's a tech guru over here.
No, man, that's such a great question. And man, whenever I encounter other business people or people in this industry, I'm like always, hey, like even designers, like, hey, what technology are you using? And the reason is because I see how much value it can add. So any people that are having resistance to that, they're shooting themselves in the foot, and I hurt for them. I'm watching their business and the hardships they're going through, and I'm like, just jump on board. It will help you. And so when I was my wife is a New Zealander, so I was in New Zealand for about 5 years, and Asher was inside of this business. And when I came back and kind of jumped on board to start helping work on the leadership side, it was kind of more between yourself and Dad. It was a little bit more spreadsheets and charts and physical handwritten stuff. And so I, initially worked on a Google Sheets thing that we kind of interact with from multiple angles, and that helped. And then I actually found the software not too long ago called Coda, and I fell in love with that software. It's awesome. So I essentially developed our own ERP, and everybody kind of uses that, and it's really nice. Like the stuff it has, like all down to your phone. Like our installers all operating off of phones and having punch lists, and it kind of seamlessly talks to other people. It can auto email and stuff like that. That being said, it's still, to be honest, not good enough. We've subscribed to a really, really nice, expensive software called Energy, and that's more of an ERP, specifically tailored for high-end millwork and for the manufacturing side of that. And so we are in the process of migrating from Coda to Energy, and we kind of always knew Coda was interim, but that's kind of some of that process. But honestly, I spend probably 40 hours a week of just full-time working on system management to get information to the right place, right time, because we're only going to succeed as much as people understand how to, like, when you have 35 people, it's like that game of telephone. You can't let that message get muddy as it passes from person to person. So that takes so much of my focus, because that's how we're going to deliver a good product on time. So that may be a little bit of an idea.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think of, like, as being leaders and people that, jumped into the family business? Like, how have you, what kind of development have you had to sort of undergo as being a leader, in a business?
That's a great question. I think about that a lot, because I think every day, like, I'm trying to grow and learn myself, and just seeing, our dad raise us, and, with really good work ethic and everything. And, me, now I have 2 kids, he has 4 kids, and you just kind of want to be that leader for your family and for your employees. And I don't know, I think leading by example is maybe the best way I can say it. If you want someone to change something or whatever, don't just tell them to change. Like just be a better person yourself, and that rubs off. And I think the people that we have are super open-minded, which I love, because we're all trying to help each other get better. So like, I don't want to be the kind of leader that says I always know the right answer, right? I want to go out there and say I hire people smarter than me. I have a smarter finisher than me. I have a smarter millwork guy than me. So I want to go out there and collaborate with them and make leadership kind of a team effort, and then they have buy-in because of that. So that's something I'm trying to learn every day how to do better. I don't have all the answers. I want to be the guy that puts it all together and hire really good people to work together.
For sure. And how, from when you, I guess, first got into the business now to now, like, how has the market or the industry changed? Like, what do you think are the three things that you've seen, like, from either a, product side or trend side? Like, what are the things that you're seeing, or that you've seen the biggest difference from when you first started to where it is now?
Man, that's a good question. Honestly, I feel like I don't think, especially from when Dad started the business, I think the culture of a business when you have like one guy that's just trying to feed a family is so much less like, or I mean, for at that point we were so much less even keep your head above the water. Like your focus is just keeping your head above the water and getting enough sales. So I think it was hard to even see too clearly what it was like. But I think Charlotte as a whole just has grown. So I think that's brought in some, just with general growth, I think you get, probably more wealth, and it kind of develops all different aspects of specifically residential construction. So I think it's probably just maybe just expanded the volume inside of each of those sectors, but you can see it kind of across all the residential builds. I mean, I think you can see, I mean, even commercial, you can just see just all the construction sector inside of Charlotte has just like really blossomed. So I mean, specifically how that relates to us and our awareness is we've realized that that the high end seems like more of the right niche for us. And I wouldn't even argue that we're fully there, because I think we probably need to step up just a few more tiers if we're trying to be in the fully like high luxury kind of area where money, maybe you say, doesn't matter as much. It's just, I want what I want. I mean, we're closing in on that territory, but I mean, I think the main market change was just adding more volume to that. The one last thing I can mention on that is like, just, you'll create a relationship with the builder and they'll say, oh, we always use you. So you have to make sure to maintain your size to actually grow with their pace. So that's really, it almost forces you to grow and evolve your systems, because once you latch on to the builder, well, he's your bread and butter. Well, now you have to keep up with him. So that's the main kind of change I think I've seen, is just volume increase.
Well, and us having the maturity to say no too, because me and Isaac used to, like a couple of years ago, we were like, oh, we can do commercial, we can provide for other cabinet shops. We were kind of saying we could go from 6 million to 20 million in 3 years, and we'll just figure it out. So that was a terrible, immature mistake we made. And what we've learned now is, okay, the power of no, the power of working with the right customers that can fit into our system, and then really focusing on systems and people so that we can produce predictably what we're selling. And that's way more important for the next year. And that's why we've actually lowered our sales targets to, instead of growing at 25% per year, let's just grow 12%, but get really efficient. And our bottom line gains 3 points or 4 or 5 points on the margin, just because we're more efficient.
Yeah. And I think, I think it's probably a great, comfortable place to be, to say like, all right, this is my family business. I'm not really going anywhere. So there's really no rush to grow, right? We're building something that potentially our kids will be able to participate in as well. I mean, and with that said, it's like, so at what point did you take over from your father? Like, where were you employee wise? And then like, what was the growth that happened? Like, how long have you guys been in this position?
So, like, out of college, when I graduated in 2009, and I said, you know, the I'll do anything, but I won't work for my dad. Well, guess what? It was the biggest recession since the Great Depression. So I had no money, so I put my head between my tail and or whatever the saying is, and then moved back in with dad and started working for him. So and then I kind of became the impromptu shop manager. Isaac got married, moved to New Zealand, and then he,
You tried
realized
to get far away, right? You
he,
should.
he literally went as far across the world as he can, and he still came back too. And
Yeah.
so Isaac had a couple kids, and he realized, oh wait, I can't just herd sheep. I actually have to make money to provide for
Oh,
kids.
dude, yeah.
So, but it was a little harder over in New Zealand, his opportunities, and then so he came back, and then from 2016 to now, we've kind of just phased in, and at a couple months ago, Dad got kicked out of the office, so he's kind of working 5 hours a week or whatever, and he loves it right now because we're actually like we're working really well together, so we're not really butting heads with him anymore because he's not doing the day-to-day management and he's not doing the vision and the systems implementation, which is the stuff we always butted heads on before. So he likes doing the accounting, and maybe he still wants to watch all the money just to make sure it's coming in. So he does the accounting, but he's able to work up at his cabin and stuff. So it's a good situation for him. And me and Isaac are kind of more in sync with kind of our vision for running the business and growing it. So it's a really good situation, honestly, now.
Right. But I'd say we haven't really we didn't really have a defining point of like we run the business here or I run the business. It was actually really more of a slow evolution of just slowly taking on more responsibility, and we would see inefficiencies and say, hey, why don't you give that to me? I'll put that under my wing, and I really want to build that up to be this. And you're like, well, okay, yeah, you run with it. And then that would prosper, and we'd grab another thing. And before you know it, he was running out of the things to hold on to. And that's honestly the way he wanted it, because, he has grandkids and stuff, and he had other things that he wanted to focus on. So it was probably less of like we took over here. It was more of a just continual slow as we can take on more responsibility and ownership of items. We took it, and it kind of evolved to where it's at now, where he's doing about 5 hours a week.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So what does the future look like for you guys? I guess where are you at now, and where do you want to be in the next couple of years?
Great.
That's a good question. And me and Isaac have been discussing that a lot lately, and I think it's really important that we even work on that together to be aligned. But right now, we're about $6 million a year, and we would like to be at about 8, maybe 9 within the next 3 years. We want to stay at the same facility, just really focus on growing efficiency instead of just like we bought a huge building and we're like, oh, we can move into that. We ended up not doing it and realizing, okay, we just need to get more efficient with the space we're in now. So we're not moving, we're staying here, but we're really hunkering down on figuring out how to do a process as efficiently as possible and reducing waste. So I would say that's really what we're focusing on over the next year, is dialing in our operations, and then also growing up leaders that can handle day-to-day responsibilities. I don't want to be getting 50 phone calls a day. That's not really a business, that's a job. And so, and me and Isaac both have, other passions outside of this business, and we want this business to be something bigger than us. I want other people to have buy-in, and, so for me, it's less important about how much it grows. It's more important, for at least for me personal, how does this fit into my life? And I'm really into real estate development and some other stuff that I do. And, I just had another kid. So you start realizing your time is so precious. And balancing your business so that it fits in your life is becoming so apparent for me. And so just making decisions to prioritize my time and make sure when I am working, I have really good focus. I'm providing a lot of value. And then when I'm at home, I can not worry about my phone. I can hang out with my kids and stuff like that. So
For sure. No, that's it's so true. And I found that, like, at least with some of my clients, the ones that pursue their passions outside of their business so much more actually tend to become so much more successful than those that are constantly working in their business, which is pretty incredible to think, right? You're like, wow, the more time you take away from the thing that you're working in will give you the clarity and the energy to go back with like fresh perspective, and you're not stressed all the time.
That's a very cool thought. That's really
Well,
cool.
yeah, one book I was reading is all about finding what lights you up and what makes you money. And then also, just putting that in that quadrant and so you have a lot of responsibilities in a business, but there's a lot of people that actually enjoy a part of that and are better than you. And so it's very important that you find those people and get them in the right seats so that, you don't become a slave to your business and just resent going in every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say to tag on to that, it's been really interesting the last few weeks. I mean, we specifically have been working through this a little bit more, but it's been really, really fun to watch, whether it's a designer or even ourselves. Once you find that sweet spot of that operation or that task you love, that person, my wife was doing a little bit of Instagram stuff for us. It was insane because once each person is operating within a sweet spot or a passion zone, dude, the productivity and the output is just insane because they love what they're doing.
It doesn't even feel like work.
Right. So I think, to Aki's point is like, man, what do I love about Hardwood Creations and how can I do more of that? And then how can I identify people around me that love other aspects and get them plugged in where they love? And so I think that's a big key point. And to your idea on culture, that's where we're really focusing on now. How can we get people plugged in where they love?
For sure.
So that they're not operating in a job as much as possible. They're operating in something they find themselves passionate about. So, yeah.
And they're contributing at a higher level, and they could see the rewards of their hard work, right?
Yep, so, that's it. That's it.
Dude, that's so cool. I really love what you guys are doing. That's so awesome.
Thank you,
man. I appreciate that.
Hey, so this is a part of the podcast where I give you any sort of business, marketing, sales advice. So, is there anything that you guys are struggling with, or a question that you have that you need to think through from a random third party?
I mean, I have the thought on the top of my head is, the last kind of comment we were just talking about was developing leaders, and I think we're just the size of our business, we're starting to hit that point where you kind of require mid-tier management, and then so you have just trying to work on how to develop that out. So maybe even whether it's incentivization structures, whether it's how to do that well or transition into that well. I think obviously we have thoughts on that, but I think that's a current subject we're both kind of wrestling with. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, we're trying to right now. What we're trying to figure out is our equity ownership is right now is just me, Dave, and Isaac. But like the guys that are really helping run our business and are growing into the people running our business without us, how have you found, or maybe you found other entrepreneurs that have done this well, that they incentivize them to make sure interests are aligned? Because I don't want a bigger piece of the business. I actually want it to be spread out differently. So it's a
but in a healthy way, in a way that doesn't cause conflict. So I think we want to benefit and bless the people that are here, but we want to do that in a intelligent way that doesn't create. I mean, there's reasons that certain businesses structure in a way, and I think we're trying to maybe understand that more. So if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I'll kind of go to the first point, and maybe if I could recap. So how do I develop more leaders in your business? How do we develop more leaders in our business that have more ownership over it? And then B, how do we properly incentivize them so that they're constantly reaching for targets and everybody wins as a result? That
sounds exactly, that sounds right.
Okay, so the first thing is so there's a book, what's his name? Oh my God, he passed away. The guy that Zappos, the shoe guy.
Yeah, right? There's actually a Zappos here, right next to us.
I think. I know he was in Vegas, but so if you read his book, he talked about service, and one of the things that he did was he developed a thing called the pipeline. and it was like a pipeline where people knew that once they got in like 24 months that they were going to be able to like move to a different place and get a promotion and a job. And they designed a program to recruit, screen, train, and get people up to that path. And so that's one of the things I started thinking about, like in terms of leadership development is, I mean, there's a lot of cool things that you could be doing, and whether it is having like a portal to to give online courses, like the trainings. Like for me, I'm thinking about like, okay, if I'm gonna build a thing that's gonna last 50 or 100 years, like how do I capture what's now? And your father's still active and around. I would literally record videos with him weekly on the history of the business and the mindsets and the cultures, and extract some of that and start building, manuals, manifestos, leadership quotes and Bibles, because there's stuff in your head or things that you've innately have learned from your father that you're trying to codify right now. And so for me, I start thinking about like, how do you start grabbing the stuff out of, the historical patriarch of the business and building a brand around that internally, and then showing externally your clients and your partners and your customers like, oh, this is what we stand for. So you can do that by like, again, interviewing your dad, pulling out the core extracts, maybe even 20 years, you might be able to write like a little bit of a book. Any new hire, they say, you got to read this, you got to watch these videos, and it becomes part of your training and your onboarding. And that helps people to get bought in. The second thing is, as it relates to leadership, if you want to build more culture, like give everybody a, $200 a year credit so that they can buy books on Amazon, right? Like, or maybe you find like whether it's community, like what are the different challenges that you have internally, and it could be communication, whether it's time blocking or productivity or self-improvement. Like if you were the people that were helping to improve the lives of your employees, like they're not going to want to leave you, because A, you're giving them the books, B, you're giving them professional development. And I would like once a quarter, like bring a speaker into the shop and like your Friday afternoon, and inspire and motivate your team, right? Like those are things that you can do from a cultural perspective. Like different workshops, right? Like you can literally build your own, Hardwood Creations, right? Like, right. This is how you get credit, but you could do it in your own cool way, so that it's not necessarily that. Okay, so that's the first part. The second part is like, okay, how do you create the right structure? So without knowing too much, the first thing that I think about is linking KPIs and measuring them. So like a leader, if they have 3-4 KPIs, so it's like on time, under budget, and client satisfaction, right? Like, and then and this is built into your routine. So, and this can go all the way down. So every line has their own metric. And then instead of equity at the moment, then you start linking bonuses, quarterly bonuses to that. So if somebody's on time, under budget, have great satisfaction, no flaws in their work, then if they hit those marks, and maybe you build in a system that every person along the way is checking, but ultimately the end result is the client, aka the builder, is like, oh my God, this was great, right? So it's kind of like, it's the same mindset that when you get off the phone with American Express, as soon as you get off the phone, you get a text message that says, how was our service? Remember, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like when you get off the phone, there's like some survey because they build their core value is about service. And so it goes back to like, extracting the core thing from your father and the company and the vision that you want to build, pulling some core values out of that, defining the vision that's going to be supported by the core values. What are the KPIs and what's the money and what are the KPIs that back it? And then what are the KPIs for everybody on the team that's going to help you reach your mission, your vision, and your values? And then you can compensate off of that. Does that make sense?
I think that's really good. And we were kind of thinking about that too, because it's like a lot of people just associate making more money with working more hours. And a lot of times that's actually almost the opposite of how you want to think.
Right.
Like, I don't want people to work 55 hours and kill their health and all this. I want people to be more productive. Right. And so a KPI getting down to one or two numbers that the guy can look at, this is how I can increase my performance and how it's measured, and then how can I get compensated on that. And one thing we're working on really,
we are just releasing our latest training. And over this training, I go over how I helped generate $200,000 and 300 leads for clients. And during this 45-minute training, we will go over the frameworks, the strategies, and the concepts that you need to scale from 6 figures to 7 figures, or even just get started. These are the building blocks that I've seen help wood, lumber, furniture, millwork companies grow and scale. So I've been hearing it lots of times, like, I just need a training, I need a training, I need a training. So we finally put it together. So wherever you're consuming this, just click the link in the description and you'll be able to access it.
Right now, with the new software we're integrating is, because we're a production company, so most of our employees are literally, they're being paid to produce something. So if you can establish a quality standard and a metric to measure the efficiency of how it's produced, then we have to be able to communicate that to that employee so he understands, how is this part of the bigger picture of a company producing a product for a customer to create a profit? And the key is to link the understanding together and make it simple enough. Because we do quarterly bonuses, right? But there's no way a person can tie their individual work to that big, vague bonus. Like right now, it's not correlatable.
What you're suggesting, though, helps that. And I think we're trying to identify how to get that in front of people so they can really link that directly, because that would really help. So I like that a lot.
No, that and the other thing too is like you can have fun with that first part, right? Like look at your year on a quarter by quarter basis. Like, maybe fall is, look at when things are busy, or when things are and then come up with themes. So like holidays, maybe it's like about gratitude and team and family, and January, February is all about like new year, new vision, right? Like, those sorts of things. Like, I mean, shit, you can bring in like a personal trainer on the shop floor and, have everybody do like a, crazy exercise, right? Like,
that's an awesome idea.
Right. You could, like invite everybody down to the, basketball arena. I mean, you have enough people and you could set up a program where, you can have an event in the basketball arena, right? The Charlotte Hornets, right? And so like you can do fun things, document it. I feel like you're going to be able to see the reward from that way much more. And then from there, then you're like, okay, this is the path for everybody. Like in a year, we'd like for you to get to this point. We'd like for you to learn this. We'd like for you to learn that. And then you can go back to your partners and go back to your home builders, be like, all right, what's holding you back from giving me 2 times or 3 times more work?
Right.
We're staffed up. I've got the team ready.
That's the right order to do it in. And that's really what we're focused on, is because I do want to grow our sales, but like I want to be confident that we're growing it smart and we have the staff and we can do it not stressful. Because if we always feel like we're behind schedule, it creates a stressful work environment to kind of come into
Oh
everything.
yeah. And then like one thing slips, and then the next thing slips,
Oh
and
yeah,
then next
that's
thing you know,
exactly what
you got like you got an epidemic. You know,
It's not the best kind of phone call to have to take. I actually just had one of those a few minutes ago.
for sure, for sure.
But it's part of it,
Cool.
right? So yeah.
Awesome. Hey, so what's your website and Instagram for everybody to
Well,
follow your
well, the
beautiful
truth
work?
is, our website's down. We're not taking any more customers right now.
Okay.
Our website is definitely under construction, but our Instagram is Hardwood Creations NC. And that's a great place to catch us at. We try to post photos and little videos and show what we're up to. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for your time. It was great and fun to talk to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We look forward to getting this story out. All right.
All
Take
right.
care.
thank
Bye.
you, man. We'll see ya.
Have a good one.
Hey, guys. Thank you so